How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Guys, today's a tough topic. Today we're going to be talking about staff accountability. But it's not going to be, because we've discussed this before, we're not going to be discussing management being accountable to staff. I have done that topic many times. So please check out that topic, check out that perspective. Today we're going to talk about staff being accountable. And the reason why I thought of this topic is I am working on another book about rookies. And what I'm trying to do, it's 50 tips for rookies. And I'm trying to kind of come up with topics that aren't identical to what I have in my most recent book, and also not from the same perspective. So it gives you a reason to buy both books. I don't want to, keep on releasing material from what I've already written. I want to try to stretch myself in my effort to write, because the best part about writing books, guys, is that in the process we also learn. So I'm pushing myself to the limits to make sure I can come up with new topics. And one of the things we thought about today was this thing called welcoming accountability. So Russ is my guest today, and we're going to discuss, the importance of why we need to welcome accountability as frontline professionals. Now, granted, just one more time, when it comes to management, having that environment where accountability is easier to welcome, I've discussed that. And I want you guys to check out those videos. But today I want to focus on the importance of frontline welcoming the accountability regardless. This is where it's going to become a little controversial, regardless of the workplace culture. And we'll explain that shortly. Guys, before I bring Russ on, let me just go with my sponsors. So we have American Military University. If you guys get a chance, please check out American Military University. They are very supportive of what we do in corrections, very supportive of what we do here in Tier Talk. They're starting to put programs together to help correctional staff looking to get their degree. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to bring experience back into the classroom. So guys, if you get a chance, it's an online school. Please check it out. It's American Military University. Also, guys, Inmate Manipulation Decoded, I have the book right here, is on the market. This book just does wonders. So for everybody that's been buying it and supporting it, thank you. I mean, just literally thank you. I mean, this was the first thing I really wrote that, I invested time in, and just to see it so well received. I mean, if you guys don't mind, if you want to put up some more reviews on Amazon, that would be really helpful. But either way, you guys have done a lot by just purchasing the book and then having it rotate amongst other professionals. So thank you, one, for purchasing, but thank you for trusting me by giving the information out to others who could be walking next to you. Also, we have How to Succeed in Corrections. Lessons learned while working in a prison. Look at the size of that. Published by Blue 360 Media. The link to this is in the description. It's $39.95. When you get it, you also get an ebook as well as a app that comes with it. So it's a good purchase. Guys, I'm seeing people walking around with this book like it's a Bible, because outside the passages and the support quotes from other professionals in the field, there's places for you to write your own thoughts. So people are just walking around and just sharing the knowledge, but more importantly, complementing the knowledge. I mean, this is a great book to kind of start that process and hold on to those core values, because we are losing people, mass exodus. And with that comes the core values of our profession. So I think by doing this, it's also a good effort to keep those core values intact. So again, for the people that have bought the book, the link to this is in the description, published by Blue 360 Media. Thank you, because the knowledge here will truly help anybody in this profession. But again, thank you for supporting me and trusting me in my mission to bring out good stuff, good worthy stuff to the people that walk the walk, the people that do such a dangerous job. And in the very near future, I'm going to have 50 tips for rookie staff, same format. I'm going to do about 600 words a passage, a support quote, same areas where you can write in, but I'm going to try to be a little bit different than what I've put in the other books. So you're still going to need the other books to complement, but I'm going to definitely have some tips that I really haven't expressed in the other books. I'm just working on, or at least from a different perspective. All right, let me get Russ, our soon-to-be author himself, because he's been doing a couple of things. There he is. What's up, Russ?
Hey there, Anthony. How's it going, sir?
Good. Thank you for standing by for that 5-minute and one intro. That is-
That's okay. I've been through longer.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's true.
I mean, we're talking about you after all.
Yeah, I like talking about me. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You mind introducing yourself to our audience?
Not at all. My name is Russ Hamilton. I am a former and retired sergeant from California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Started my career way back in the 80s, back at San Quentin State Prison. Later on, after I retired, I became a senior juvenile correctional officer, and now I work for a private company, and we do rehabilitation and reentry work for a private probation department and not a private probation department, for a probation department and a local county jail where I am a case manager.
Hey, Russ, I've also seen you've been very active. I know you have a Facebook group, Keepers of Chaos, but you also got a spot where you're doing some writing for subscription. Let's talk about both. So how's Keepers of Chaos going?
So Keepers of Chaos, I founded, I think it's 4, maybe 5 years ago now. And basically, Keepers of Chaos is all about if you work in corrections under any capacity whatsoever, even if you're maintenance or a teacher or a doctor or whatever, it's there for you. And it's basically a resource so you can find out more about the profession, what keeps you safe, the things that happen, how to find weapons. The whole 9 yards is encompassed there. And so we really focus on that niche. We're not there to post memes and tell jokes, although there is some of that. We're really there to serve you as you being a professional and we being professionals to have input to give you the best solid advice possible. My new enterprise that's going on right now is SubStack, which if you type in dangerrusshamilton.substack.com, you will find it, and you can go there and subscribe to it. I'm trying to write 1 to 2 articles a week right now. Sometimes I'm going to go back and merely post some Tier Talk videos or some of my own videos and just talk about some of the things that are going on currently in corrections or in the past, or things that I think will make you safer and more effective correctional personnel.
All right, Russ, let me go ahead and show people a little bit about the Russ stack. What's it called again? Russ?
Substack.
Substack. Okay, so hold on. I have a picture right here. Does everybody see it? So that's Russ. And then there's a list of all the articles. So he's got correctional officers must be recognized as law enforcement, keeping fit in corrections, fear, stress, and danger in corrections, rookie mistakes, how you can help. Corrections professionals are a magnificent breed. I mean, guys, look at all the articles he's putting up. All good knowledge here. Contraband weapons in prison, security rounds, and Jeffrey Epstein, working with other departments, the prison underground economy, my first incident, how to get fired in corrections. Guys, there's just tons of good articles here. And hey, Russ, real quick, let me close this off. Is there a way for people to comment and build discussions off the Substack?
Yes, there is. All you have to do is subscribe, read the article, and the comments are open right there. I'm doing pretty well. I think in the past couple weeks that I've had this open, I think I'm up to probably 80 or 90 subscribers right now. But I've been really prolific in the writing that I've been doing and going back and posting some of my more popular videos. The most recent one that I did today, I did talk about the difference between being assaulted and battered at work and being assaulted and battered out in the real world. Because for whatever reason, I've done both a few times, or had that done to me. Talk about being what it's like to be a victim as a correctional officer versus being a victim as just a civilian. And just lots of good stuff. I'm putting my heart, mind, body, and soul behind it, and I'm really hoping that it's going to take off. I'm hoping by this time next year that I have more than 1,000 subscribers. So that's what I'm shooting for.
Well, what I'm going to do right now, guys, is I'm going to put Russ Hamilton Substack, and I'll put the link to that in my description here for this video. So if you guys want to check it out, just go to my description and the link will be there. And then maybe I'll kind of keep it up on the link. So if you guys see other videos in the future, I'll keep the link on there so you guys, have a chance. So what I'll do maybe is just kind of promote it a little bit more, get some traffic your way. And then one last thing before we start the show, Russ, I'm going to put you out there again. When are we going to get that book?
That's a good question.
I mean, Russ, you're doing articles, man. You're doing articles. How do we convert that all into a book?
I'm working towards that. I just have like a lot of, conflicting interests and work going on. But I am trying to make room for that in my life. And we're going to see about it. I do have a couple thousand words squirreled away that I started a little while back. I'm trying to bring all that out and shake and dust it all off. Just, competing things. It's nice to be busy. And so, that's where I'm at with it. We'll just have to see. But I'm hoping within the next 3 to 4 months to have it written.
We'll get it. But guys, in the rookie book I got coming out, we're thinking about doing something with Russ. I don't want to say what the idea is, but Russ will also submit about 2 articles in my new book for rookies that will kind of give you an idea of what his book will be. Okay, so let's get this started. So obviously, Russ, we're talking about accountability. When I see accountability, the first thing I think of is ownership. I think of commitment. I think of integrity. I really do. I think that when someone steps up and takes accountability, and that's before it has to be discovered, because again, I don't find it to be full of integrity if once it's been discovered, you admit fault. I think the integrity comes when there's no pressure to admit fault. But for me, accountability for me hits commitment, ownership to the job, to the task, to the consequences of any decision made. And I also think it hits on integrity, commitment, ownership. Oh, that's it. Yeah. I mean, again, if I'm chasing after you to find out if you've done something right or wrong, but I'm the one that's pushing for it, I start to question your integrity, where I would prefer that you come up to me and tell me when a mistake is made, and we'll get to it, but management has to provide an environment, I get it, where they approach things with curiosity and not judgment. So we got to have an environment. Let me just put it out there now for the people that are watching that may see another perspective on this. We understand that, the workplace culture has to be psychologically safe for people to admit when they made mistakes and errors. I get that. But I still want to say, even if it's not psychologically safe, even if you got those supervisors that look to cover their own ass and look to discipline, you have to think of the bigger picture. By you not stepping up and admitting that maybe you made a mistake and taking accountability, that could have a greater concern than what could be a small discipline that could be coming your way. So don't get caught in survival mode to the point where you're not going to admit fault because management is going to jump down your throat. Because in the end, the people that are going to be most affected by that mistake are going to be the people that are working next to you. But Russ, when I say welcoming accountability for a frontline professional, and again, I'm kind of putting this in my new book for rookies because I want them to be conditioned to accountability. I just want that for them to have that coming in and to really strengthen that. What does that mean to you, welcoming accountability?
Well, when we are out there and we're welcoming this accountability, it's to be, held and contrasted against a standard. And so, that standard that we should always try and live up to is where we want all of the things that we do, to be judged against. And by doing that, we actually are, we're taking ourselves to that whetstone. We're sharpening that thing which we are, and making ourselves into better correctional staff, better correctional officers. So I think that, that's the true nature of accountability, And is there some negativity attached to that? Yeah, sometimes you've got some drama and some discipline coming your way, but just think about what it would mean if we were always trying to escape accountability. That would mean that we have failed in our oath, and that we're not trying to do policies and practices and procedures that are safe and effective and lawful. And it's just basically we're dropping the whole ball of professionality, if you will. We want to be accountable because we want to uphold those professional ideals.
Yeah, and I got for the upcoming book, I got a quote from Teresa Dowell for this chapter. She's a unit manager, and this is what she says: personal accountability goes hand in hand with respect. If you make a mistake, and you will, fix it. If you can't fix it, find someone who can. If it can't be fixed, admit it and own the consequences. It doesn't matter if it's staff or an inmate. You'll earn respect when you're willing to hold yourself accountable and do the work to fix your own mistakes. I think that's an extremely powerful quote, because I think the biggest concern we have here, and guys, I've caught myself in this. I remember when I was a rookie, I was concerned about being disciplined for misplacing my keys. Now, granted, I lost them for a second, and I spent more time trying to look for it. And what I should immediately did was maybe report the concern, because the more time it takes me to look for it, wherever it is, now that delay is causing us to solve the problem in an effective manner. So the moment I felt that the keys were missing, I should not hesitate in my effort to call my supervisor to let him know this is what I got going on, or let her know this is what I got going on, and to maybe get some assistance. And when I realized that I spent more time looking for the keys than actually being effective by solving the greater problem by calling my supervisor and really addressing it at a higher level, I said, maybe there's something wrong. Now, the question is, and I'm going to ask Russ this, is it wrong of, if I work in an environment where I'm quick to be punished, and I'm afraid to, report the concern because they're gonna punish me, does that negate my accountability?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What you're looking at there is you're looking at the discipline that's being levied on you. You do not have necessarily an affirmative duty to that process except for your own accountability. But what you do have a duty to is you have a duty to the public, to the safety of the public, to the safety of the staff that work in the area you're around. And believe it or not, you also, you have to ensure the safety of the inmates that you're around as well. So if you do something that breaches that security and that safety, you absolutely have a duty to report that and a duty to get on with it, regardless of whether or not your particular facility is heavy-handed on things or not.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people are going to like to hear that, but it's true, because at the end of the day, I know it's true because I can't give you the opposite advice. Like, I would find it very awkward for me to tell you, oh, you have a bad supervisor, you're going to be quick to discipline. Okay, cover up your mistake. It just doesn't fit right with the context of what this channel provides. So having said that, I agree with Russ. If that is a concern, that shouldn't still stop you from doing what's right. One of the things I put here for the book that's going to come out, it says, welcoming accountability may be more easily said than done. Sadly, our efforts to welcome accountability may severely weaken when our primary focus doesn't shift from the immediate consequences or embarrassment to the valuable lesson learned. Having said that, if I make a mistake and, I'm concerned about the consequences, or I'm concerned about the discipline that's behind the mistake, maybe there is a lesson that needs to be learned at the back end of a discipline. I mean, I would like for things to go constructive. I mean, that should be. I mean, I wish that was the case. Sadly, people don't really know people's intent, or they judge negligence and good intent basically the same, which I disagree with. But having said that, the lesson learned that could come from discipline may have some level of value to it. Not that I want to be disciplined, but discipline by nature is really constructive if it's done right. So I could also, in my effort to be in survival mode at this point, I could be denying myself the lesson of accountability. I mean, that could just be something that tests my want to step up and take accountability. So if I'm a rookie, and that, Russ, I would love to get your comment on this. If I'm a rookie and the first time shit hits the fan and I go into survival mode, I'm not really conditioning myself to take on accountability as my career progresses. I mean, would you agree that the moment something hits, this could be a good chance for you to start conditioning yourself to take that level of accountability if you're at fault?
Absolutely. You want to be in the position where you learn something, that you're able to take away something positive, even from a negative circumstance. Having said that, I'll say this is that you can really use accountability to incentivize your performance. If you use that accountability to incentivize your performance, you're more likely to be on top of things in a way where you're not being careless, you're not being complacent, and that you're making sure that you're adhering to what your post orders call for you to do in any given shift. If you just think that you can automatically cover things up, slough it off, place the blame, spread the wealth of the idiocy that's going on, then you're less likely to be in a position where you can mitigate those potentially harmful and dangerous things as they occur. So don't put yourself in that position. Put yourself in the position where you are functioning at a higher level, and that maybe that mistake you make is less because of that.
Yeah, and it kind of crosses into one of the things we're going to discuss about lack of accountability could delay problem solving. I mean, so when I've been an admin now since 2015, so over 8 years, soon to be 9. I worked at the busiest facilities my state has. So obviously we face concerns every day. And I kind of wrote here that even though I don't mean to Monday night quarterback, that's kind of what we do. But how I guess negate the feeling of Monday night quarterback to the people that I'm probably going to bring up to discuss whatever concern they went through is I do it with curiosity and not judgment. And again, I've said this in videos in the past. This will be in the upcoming book, or that's from a management perspective, that's actually in this book. But I approach the problem with curiosity and judgment, and not judgment, and I make it known to the people that are involved in this concern that I need all honesty because I want to make an honest effort forward. What starts to make me upset is I may have the answers in front of me. I may know exactly where the concern is, but I want to see if people are going to step up and volunteer themselves where they feel that they could have done something better. And I love that because to me, that could be also identifying a future leader in the midst. Because again, accountability for me, that's about integrity. Again, ownership, commitment, we'll get to that. But to me, that identifies a future leader. Now, granted, you'll have some people that even when you tell them, and you don't have a history of writing up people, you're not that type of supervisor. And even though you tell them, hey, guys, I'm curious as to what happened, no judgment, just how can we move forward in a better manner, and you set the environment as safe as possible, they still have the habit of blaming everyone else. And that's when I'll start to get a little frustrated because at this point, guys, I'm trying to solve the problem. Now we're delaying it because someone here or everybody here is in self-survival mode. And when we go that route, we're not taking an honest look at what happened. So again, if I'm providing a safe environment and we're still doing the blame game, then the chance to solve the problem either gets delayed or will be solved in a way that's not most effective. What's your thoughts on that, Russ? Have you seen that?
Yeah, mitigation and minimization tends to be the thing that some people start to run to. Look at the environment that we're in. We're locked in there. We're with those inmates 24/7. We see the way that they conduct themselves And sometimes, and it's all bad, no doubt about it. People start to emulate that. They start to take a page book out of this STG, or, this disruptive group, this set of inmates over here that are notorious for doing very bad things, because we think that somehow some of the little tricks that we've been exposed to are going to serve us well. They're not going to serve us at all. They're going to be a detriment toward that which we're doing, and they're going to be antithetical toward everything that we're supposed to stand for. I mean, what is it that we're supposed to stand for? Well, you stand up there and you take that oath, and you say, that you're going to, swear to, uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of your state, and federal, state, and local laws. And then, at the first opportunity, you cave on that. No, that's not what you want to do. Is you want to hold yourself towards that principle, towards that North Star, that you stay in between those navigational beacons, which are, honesty and integrity and professionalism, and do the best that you can do under the circumstances which are given. And the best that you can do is come clean, come forward, come fast, and maybe somebody will be able to solve the problem that you've created. But you're never going to get to that professional standard if our first reflex action is to, hide and cover up and mitigate and minimize all on our own.
Yeah, guys, that's why this truly starts at day one, because accountability is not easy. It's not. But you have to condition yourself, because I think people do sometimes condition themselves to pushing the blame, and it becomes automatic even when there's a safe environment. They're just so used to blaming others, and that anti-management thing. So sometimes even when you have good managers who aren't out to come at you, you're conditioned just to have that generalized animosity. So the moment management asks you a question, not an effort to, judge, but an effort to be curious so they can solve the matter, everybody goes into this, blaming thing. And it's like, well, we're not solving it. That's why for us, when we're managers and we come in, admin, whatever, and we come in, let's say we replace somebody who really wasn't effective in providing that environment as trust. What we have to do as management is to get people to see us before the position. Because if we go in and we kind of just blend into the position, we get all the negative that went with it. So if I know that the person I'm replacing is, someone that really messed up the environment and, really created some divide between frontline and them, I'm going to pull myself away from the position for a bit and really connect with people in my effort to build a trust, and then just see, if I'm able to now, have honest discussions where we do have concerns and we're able to make an honest approach without judgment, but rather curiosity. And I want to mention something too, because in the book I'm writing, Russ, I needed a thought related to accountability. And I want to read you this thought that Russ added. It was he added the last part of this sentence. So I put, therefore, if it hasn't been made clear thus far, on the extreme end of not taking accountability, your inaction to do what is right, what is expected, can put yourself and others at risk. Do you hear me? It can put yourself and others at risk. Never be so blinded by your fear of being disciplined that in an effort to cover your own ass, you fail to do what is right. Remember, you're always being watched and observed. If you fail to do what is right, or worse yet, cover up what is wrong, the inmates are always watching. And that's where I ended. And I said, Russ, how can I add that with a punch? And within a second, Russ comes back. We'll know, sadly, that you may be more like them than you would like to admit. And that relates to the taking on of accountability. I mean, be honest with you, we work in a unit right now. We work in a prison right now where our number one job is to hold inmates accountable. So, I mean, you got to lead by example. Even if you're concerned of the discipline that can come your way, you have to truly lead by that example. And we kind of touched on accountability is all about integrity. I want to mention something, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, because in our discussion, we're kind of hitting all the bullets, but I do have some other things I want to mention in regards to some of the bullets I have. So for me, I had a supervisor that basically said that if you make a mistake, definitely come to him because he can make that into a teachable moment. But if you're so afraid of discipline that you start to cover it up, it's no longer teachable. It's about integrity, and that's something that can't be taught. What's your thoughts on that, Russ? Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. That's exactly what we were just covering. Is this difference between us and the inmates, the difference between us and the general public, and we have to start this particular career, this profession, with integrity. And so, that's one of the things that I think makes this type of profession attractive, is that, we're supposed to have this sense of family, that we're supposed to have this sense of integrity. We're supposed to have this sense that, that because I decided to put myself out there and to raise my right hand and to swear that I'm going to uphold these certain group of principles, because I've decided to do that, I should be the best, the cream of the crop as far as society is. And, I think that it's a hard lesson that you would learn for yourself, to cave at that moment where you decide, hey, you know what, maybe I'm not as good, but you know what, I just as soon not take the write up. I just as soon not say anything. I just as soon get away with this, and then the safety and security of the institution or the unit be damned. So that's not something that you should want to do to yourself, let alone your institution. So don't be in that boat with it. One of the great things that I do believe this about corrections is that I take a lot of pride in what it is that I've done. I take a lot of pride in what I've accomplished. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I did it under extremely difficult conditions. That there were a number of times where, I hurt and bled on that battlefield, and no one can take that away from me. I can take it away from myself by doing something miserable and dishonest and otherwise unprofessional, but no one else can take that away from me, what I accomplished.
Yeah, and that's powerful. And that kind of goes into our last part. I put accountability as a sense of ownership and commitment. Russ had added proficiency, and that really relates to success and failures. Being accountable for your successes is one thing, but being accountable to your failures, that's a whole different ballgame. But again, if you're taking on responsibility in the effort to learn and grow, then yes, you're not going to grow from excuses. You're going to grow from, I messed up, and this is what I could have done better. The thing about accountability, and I'm going to kind of go back to a management thing. I want management to just, if they're watching us, to listen to this. If you want staff to take on accountability, you also have to make sure they're invested in what's their task, what's their responsibilities. Because if granted, yes, we have the management that is quick to write up people, and that, of course, it's going to be hard for you to get accountability. But I also want to know another avenue that could be hard to get accountability from staff is when they don't feel invested in the work that's being done, which means that you have to allow for their input. Sometimes staff just want to be heard. So if they're heard and they feel that they're being entertained, and they feel that, if something doesn't go their way, they have an understanding of why, that could bring about an investment that allows them to also feel a level of accountability, because I equate accountability to ownership and commitment. I find it very hard for people to have ownership and commitment to something that they don't feel that they're a part of. So having said that, just again, from management perspective, outside of the CYA management, which is what we don't want, you got to give your staff a chance to be invested in the work, so then they can have that sense of ownership and commitment that comes with accountability. Because without that, I don't see any effort for staff to even want to be held accountable for the work, because they don't feel any level of investment in it. What's your thoughts on that, Russ, when I equate accountability to ownership and commitment? But you also mentioned proficiency. Those are three: ownership, commitment, proficiency. How does that play out in relationship to staff accountability?
Well, one of those things that we want to always be able to do is to be proficient, so that we can mitigate the situations in which we might find ourselves, uncomfortably on the end of some type of disciplinary action. So, that's all part and parcel. In order to become and be a proficient, experienced corrections professional, a a journeyman, if you will, a master, if you will, we have to take this accountability seriously, because what happens when we're able to do that is we bring a whole new level of proficiency to that which we're doing. And I know that some people may not exactly get that. But what I mean by that is that we have become, and we now embody the best of what corrections can be. And I'll always believe that, and I'll always go forward with that. There's so much negativity, though, that happens all of the time, that it's very difficult to combat this. The most recent one of the most recent articles that I wrote in my Substack, I talk about, corrections must be recognized as law enforcement. And man, I got rave reviews on most of it. But, buried there inside some of that, though, were the negative naysayers. That should never happen. That can never happen. And my response is, well, have you tried? Have you tried to see if you're proficient enough to earn what it means to be a law enforcement professional? I know I have. Lots of places in the United States now are recognized as law enforcement. And even if you're not recognized as law enforcement, if you're the only one there enforcing the laws, you are law enforcement. So we have to have that proficiency in every area of everything that we do, everything from the strategic to the tactical, and everything else. I hope that made sense.
No, I think it makes 100%. I love what you also said about, even if you're not considered law enforcement, if you're doing if you're the only one doing the job, you are. I just wish more people.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a quick dialogue. I just wanted to kind of stretch it from this perspective. Stretch it. Yeah, I guess so. That's fine, because we never really did it from this perspective before. So we're stretching out the topic. I found a way to make that blend. But to be fair, and even though we have covered it before, let's just kind of end with one last question, Russ, if I may. Even though we've covered this before, but I want to make a balance, because maybe some people haven't seen the videos in the past. What could management do or supervisors do to increase frontline staff to want to be accountable for their actions, whether, obviously mistakes that they've made?
So I think there's two parts of that. One, I might get some blowback from, but I think, setting appropriately high standards. I think that's, always necessary, and they have to be clear. They have to be objective. They have to be measurable, and they have to be attainable. Those are the things that we have to have as far as our standards go. And then second to that, maybe not second, maybe this is really first, is training. Give us the training and the tools and equipment that we need to meet those expectations. And for me, everything else, beyond that is gravy. But that's, I think that if you give people those things, and then if they don't deliver, and you have to discipline them, that's a whole nother ball of wax, right? Because you've set those standards, you've given them what they need in order to understand what it is that they have to do to not end up in the squeeze play, as it were, with discipline. And so I'm fine from everything else thereon. You've given me half a chance and given me what I need. So now the rest is incumbent upon me. If I fail from that part forward, and I don't take accountability, and I don't bring that level of professionalism, then shame on me.
Yeah, I mean, as we said before, just to compliment, basically, I'll keep this part quick. You got to have the trust between you and your front line. So if they see you constantly covering your own ass or separating yourself every time there is a concern, basically you're there for the victories, but separate yourself from the failures. you're not going to really be building that trust. If you don't get their input, you're not going to be building their investment. So there's two things here. One is the trust that, helps push forward accountability, but one is investment. Because when people feel that they own the job or they own the task that they're doing, they're more likely to come up and say, hey, this happened. I apologize. We could do it this way, because they're going to be invested in the success, because they have a level of ownership in it. And they're going to want this to solve the problem as effective as possible, which would include them taking accountability. Hey, Russ, do you have anything to say in closing, sir?
I think that's pretty much it. I thought that it was a really good topic. One of the things that I always appreciated was, that really kind of, maybe I should have added this into my last little bit, is that I always appreciated when I had, managers and supervisors that did not micromanage me. They would give me a task, and it was for me to figure out how to do it. And I think that really showed their level of professionalism, and that they trusted me. And I think that it helped me display my professionalism, in that I knew I was not going to let them down. I was not going to go outside the bounds of policy, procedure, or the law, and that I was going to bring them back a victory on whatever that was. And some of those tasks that they gave me were both difficult and dangerous. And I think, it just made me really flourish as a correctional officer. And I think that's something that that management, admin, whatever you want to call it, needs to be able to give to every officer once they're properly trained.
I agree. And to be honest with you, again, just to piggyback in my closing, accountability is a partnership. I mean, again, in other videos, we've done videos on supervisor accountability, because to be honest with you, if you don't have accountability at the highest of levels, you're not going to have accountability at the lowest of levels. I mean, it really does trickle down. It's part of the workplace culture. I believe accountability, especially if you're a rookie, should be conditioned. I don't think, even though it sucks, even when you don't have that management that shows support, whatever it is, when mistakes happen, as we mentioned, it should not negate the fact that you have to step up, because if you don't step up and do what's right, you could be leaving something like a threat in the mist that's not going to be addressed. And if something does happen, you're going to have to live with that. Again, you're really going to have to live with that. I mean, you don't want to sit there and wait for something to be discovered. You want to be ahead of it, because in the time it takes to discover something, who the hell knows what happened in that gap? Literally, here I am, chasing around keys when I should just report it right away and become more effective immediately, because the quicker you can get on it, the quicker you'll get the solution. I want to bring up a scenario that's similar to this, something that I was taught from reading a book, and it really deals with embarrassment, because that could be a reason why people may not want to jump to accountability, because they're embarrassed, not even so much about the discipline, but there's a level of embarrassment. I read a book a while ago where, they talk about what happens if your kid goes missing in, like, let's say, a mall. And usually when a predator comes in to, let's say they have an eye on your child, and you happen to be at a mall, and you just, whatever, you kind of look somewhere, and the fucking child disappears, because it happens. Some people will spend 5 minutes looking for the kid, as opposed to just causing a scene and stopping everything. Because the moment you cause a scene, usually the people, they get so, they get embarrassed or whatever it is, or it becomes too much of a challenge, they let go. So what I've learned, and I've seen it, and I love it, is the moment I can't find my kid, I go right to the exit and I yell. Her name, Mia, Sienna, whatever it is, and I get everybody to look at me. Everybody. And believe it or not, 9 times my daughter's showing up immediately, like, what the hell are you doing, Dad? I'm embarrassed. It's okay, because at that moment, everybody stopped. Everybody stopped. It's just not something people expect. So again, if I delay, the person takes off, because they're looking for that, for me chasing, for me trying to find her, and they take off in that 5-10 minutes. No, don't give them that. The moment your daughter's out of sight, go right to that thing and cause a scene. I don't care. It's your kid. It's worth it. Cause a scene. Who cares if you're embarrassed? Because at the end of the day, you're more likely I'd rather walk home with my daughter and be embarrassed at the Disney store than to not walk home with my daughter and have pride. I mean, come on. I mean, simple. But I think that relates to what we discussed. As always, guys, the show is Teared Up. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. Stay safe.